That's very interesting, Michael. Thank you very much for your information. And folks, thank you for joining us today. And we're going to continue with the general overview of Europe nowadays. In the latest news, clashes continue for the second day in Ukraine after it pulls out with talks with the United States. Ukrainians, angry with the government last-minute decision to suspend talks with the US, clashed for a second day with the police in the capital Kiev on Monday. A day earlier, 10,000 protesters tried to break through the cordon around the government buildings. On both occasions, police responded with batons and tear gas to disperse them. At the heart of the protest in Ukraine about turned after a year of insisting that it wasn't intent of signing a historic political trade agreement with the European Union. On Thursday, however, the government decided to suspend talks with the United States. Ukraine's President Viktor Yanukovych is at a tight spot under severe economic pressure from Ukraine's giant neighbor, Russia. Not to join the United States, he also was facing a key United States demand that he was unwilling to meet Free former Prime Minister Julia Tymoshenko. In other news, France will send approximately 1,000 troops to the Central African Republic, French Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said Tuesday in a radio interview. Speaking on Europe, he said the mission will last about 6 months and it would be coordinated with the United Nations and African Union. The case of 3 women held last late in South London has shocked us up in the British Republic, but people across the world. What makes this particular case stand out in the length of these women are said to have been to be held captive over 13 years. Although this is an extreme example, this type of slavery is not uncommon in London. Figures from the United Kingdom Human Trafficking Centre and Sears Organized Crime Agency for this year show that there were 389 potential victims of trafficking in the capital. Captives means suspended through a shared political ideology. 2 of 3 women believed to have been held captive in London for more than 30 years met the man suspected of holding them through a shared political ideology. London's Metropolitan Police revealed this Saturday. Police announced Thursday they had arrested a couple of suspicious of being involved in forced labor and domestic servitude after authorities took a Malaysian woman of 69 years, an Irish woman of 57, and a 30-year-old Brennan safety from a property in Lambeth, South London. They said the man and a woman were 67 and not British nationals. In a statement on Saturday, Coventry Street Red House said the suspects were of Indian and Tanzanian origin and have arrived in Britain in the 1960s. And in other news, it appears to be that Scotland have revealed their independence plan. As an independent Scotland will detain Queen Elizabeth II as head of state, keep the pound of sterling currency, and remain within the European Union, according to the policy document presented by the Scotland devolved government Tuesday. The release of a draft plan, known as the White Paper, comes ahead to the next year's referendum on independence from the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The September 18, 2014 referendum will allow Scots a straight yes or no vote to stay in the Union. If they vote yes, the country's first independent election will be held on May 5, 2016, according to the White Paper. Reading the Scotland's future document in Glasgow, Scotland's Prime Minister and Scottish National Party leader Alex Salmond said Scotland's future is in Scotland's hand. In other news, Latvia's president has described the deadly collapse of the supermarket roof in Riga as basically a mass murder of defenseless citizens, local media reports. At least 53 people died in Thursday collapse in the Maxima supermarket in the west of Latvia's capital. National news agency Leta said Saturday. It said rescue workers are continuing their hunt for survivors and still have about 100 square meters to search. President Andris Brzezinski had told the Latvian television that nature could not be blamed for the collapse and that those involved needed to think about what they had done so that action could be taken. This incident was basically the mass murder of a large number of defendant civilians. We must act accordingly, Brzezinski said. And behold, to note the history of the disfiguring man whose embrace with Pope Francis went viral. Look at this man. A few years ago, Venetia Riva in Italy burned a public bus in the northern Italian town of Venetia. He went toward the nearest vacant seat, but before he could sit down, a man in the adjacent seat snapped, "Go away! Don't sit next to me!" So look at this man, he said, I wanted an answer back, but I control myself, recalled Venetia, now 53 years old. I felt my blood pressure rise. He stayed on the bus, standing. He said also there were lots of people on the bus and they heard a yell, but no one said a word. Vinicius has long been accustomed to the unkindness of strangers. He suffers from a non-infectious genetic disease, neurofibromatosis type 1. It has left him completely covered from head to toe with growths, swelling, and itchy sores. His mother suffered from the same illness before he died, and his sister a mild version of it. His aunt Catherine Alonso's case undershirt he often completely soaked in blood and seeps from the swords. In early November, Benicio traveled with his aunt and dozens of others from northern Italy to Vatican City, where they attended the morning public audience held by Pope Francis. Benicio, who has difficulty staying in his feet for long, was in a wheelchair. When he came close to us, she said, I thought he would give his hand. Instead, he went straight to Benicio and embraced him tightly. I thought it would give him back to me to hold me so tightly. We didn't speak, we said nothing, but he looked at me as if he was digging deep inside, a beautiful look, and I would never have expected. Benicio, accustomed to take a shock of fear, was initially confused by this pontiff lack of hesitation. He didn't have any fear of my illness, he said. He embraced me without speaking. I quivered. I felt great warmth. In moments of drama, our idols often remain vivid. I looked down at his shoes, Benicio all recalled. They were like this, she said, holding their hands apart of laughing. I thought this is someone who really walks. The entire encounter lasted a little over a minute, and soon Benicio and his aunt were back on the bus, Benicio in a state of combined shock and joy. He was almost not himself, Lola said. He was shaking. I felt I was returning home 10 years younger, as if load had been lifted, Benicio said. So this is what's going on around Europe. Okay, Mike, I return with you and we'll meet Freddy.